You might have a fantastic business idea and you might be the most amazing business person, but if you don't manage your cash flow carefully, you're always going to be in a very, very tough position. In this episode of Shark Tank, we're going to see a founder enter in a very tough negotiation with the sharks because of how little money she had in her business bank account. That's how, whether you're talking to an investor or anybody who you want to be interested in your business and to have a buy-in in your business, you should start with a story. She did it super, super well. She started with painting the picture of this woman strutting her stuff around town, only to be hit with foot pain after 45 minutes of walking in heels. If you are a woman or if you've ever worn heels, you know exactly what she's talking about, like the pain point of wanting to look really good, but also having uncomfortable shoes. Storytelling is an art that you need to master if you're a business owner of any kind, whether you're a sole trader or you have like a bigger business that you incorporated. If you're expanding, if you're small, no matter at what stage you are in your business, you have to start using that storytelling muscle, because anybody who you're talking to, who you want to have a stake in your business, whether it's a customer or a collaborator or an employee or a sponsor, anybody that you want to be interested in your business, you will need to talk to them through storytelling, because that's how you engage people, that's how you get people on board, and that's how you really connect with them on a deeper level, rather than just like listing all the fantastic benefits of the product, which obviously it's an important part. You need to start with the story behind it. That's what makes any kind of pitch really compelling.
With a quick twist of the wrist, our stylish high heels turn into comfortable and practical flats.
This is really funny because I saw this woman on TikTok selling her heels, and I thought, oh, how interesting! What a new idea! And so I since found out that she had been on Shark Tank, and that's why I looked up this episode. Something really important to know if you want to build a business one day is that you need something that is called MVP. That stands for minimum viable product. One of the first things that you should really focus on is getting a minimum viable product. So what is the minimum version of the product idea that you have? How can you make it happen? If you want to start a fashion business, just the idea of it is not going to be enough. You have to maybe build your first line. You have to launch your first line with just a few selected products and just have like the minimum version of your product out there. Don't invest all of your money into creating like a bunch of stuff. Just start with the minimum version of the product that you're able to create, and start with that, and then gain customer feedback on that, gain the knowledge on how to build it better and better and better, so that in the future you can launch more stuff. But to start with, you need just the MVP. What is the minimum version of the product that you want to put on the market? And launch that first. Give your stakeholders, investors, customers, business partners, whatever, give them the opportunity to know your product through that. And then as you build on it, you reinvest your sales and you reinvest your profits to then build into like more lines or more products. But to begin with, start with an MVP.
And that part that you took out just there, that's the removable sole support. That's really the essence of our IP.
IP stands for intellectual property. So that means that she must have patented the technology that allows her to include that little bit at the bottom. If you invent something new, you should make sure that nobody else could just like copy it and run with it on the market and be your competitor. If you have like a new piece of technology or a new invention that is eligible to be patented, then that's one of the first things that you should do so that nobody else can, steal it from you. So actually on this channel, I reacted to Dragon's Den, which is basically the UK version of Shark Tank. And it sounds like the language is just a little bit different. In the Dragon's Den, you will have heard net profit, gross profit and net profit. And in here, they call them net sales. I'm assuming that net sales is what would be corresponding to the gross profit in Dragon's Den. So net sales are the gross sales, so the total money received as a result of selling the product, less the cost of sales, so less how much it costs to make the shoes. I've never heard this term in the UK, but I assume that what they mean here, the monthly burn, is the amount of operating running costs that you need just to make the organization run. So I am assuming it's the amount of overhead cost that you need to maintain operations. So salaries, rent, marketing, insurance, all the costs that you need just to keep your organization running.
Now is about 90,000 for marketing.
Ooh, all right. So this means that she's going to run out of cash pretty soon. So if what she has in the bank at the moment is, I think she said $250,000, and her monthly burn is $90,000, that means that she has, let me just do a quick calculation. She has less than 3 months worth of cash in the bank. That is not nearly enough. That means that one bad month of sales is going to make you go bust. I would say that for an organization of that size, valued at that amount, with that amount of monthly costs just to run the business, I would suggest that the minimum amount that you need to keep in the bank in terms of cash at any stage is about 6 months of operation, ideally a year. Ideally, you would have 1 full year of salaries, rent, whatever in your bank account, so that you have that margin of error in case sales fluctuate, and in case you have like a few bad months of sales, or in case anything happens that could really make or break the business. 2.7 months, which is what she has at the moment in cash in her bank account. This is going to worry the sharks for sure.
Your burn is $90,000 a month.
Yes.
So you have 3 months of cash left.
Yes. But that being said, I've been in this situation before and I did get out of it.
Absolutely admirable that she was able to do that. Really demonstrates all of her business acumen and skills. It's still a big risk for an investor to know that she found herself in that situation before, and that she's barely alive, and that she was one day away from going bust. She's clearly a very, very capable businesswoman. Her abilities might not be enough in this case to attract investment, because it sounds like she's on a little bit of a treadmill where she's being chased by her organization, like her very heavy organizational running costs, but she wasn't able to scale enough and to build up enough sales for her to be able to put a little bit more distance between how much running the organization costs and where she is at the moment. So let's see what the sharks say. Is that every time that a shoe is sold, he gets a percentage of that. So what he's saying is, I'm going to give you what you asked for. So I'm going to give you $500,000 for 5% of the company. So he would be the owner of 5% of the shares of the entire organization. And so he would be perceiving the profits from that. And also on top of that, he would be receiving royalties. So he would be receiving a percentage of sales every time that a pair of shoes is bought until he recoups $1 million. So that's a way for him to tamper the risk of the organization not being profitable enough, especially at the beginning. So he's saying, I want to be the owner of the business and I want to perceive the dividends from any profits that the company makes. But also I want to mitigate the risk of the company not being profitable by receiving royalties from the sales. So that reduces the risk of only receiving income if the company is profitable. He would be receiving income regardless, because he would be taking some of those sales and pocketing them directly. I really like that she responded with okay to that comment. She showed herself to be open. Like, she clearly isn't enthusiastic at the idea of giving out royalties, because she said that every single penny that she makes from the sales, she wants to reinvest it into growing the business. But when he said, wait, you don't even know what's on the table yet, she was like, okay. So she took that on board, and she wasn't defensive as I've seen other founders being in previous episodes that I've given commentary on.
I can't take a chance on your business clients. I'm sorry now.
So again, I think most sharks are going to be put off by the amount of money that she's spending, and she hasn't yet demonstrated that she's able to raise enough income in sales to cover for all of those costs and then have some left for the shareholders to take. She also hasn't built enough cash reserves for the sharks to feel okay in investing. So the cash reserves are exactly what it says on the tin. So they are amounts of money that you save from profits that you keep in the bank as liquidity to be able to cover X amount of months in case things go wrong. Anything could go wrong in a business such as this one. This is like, I would consider this a kind of like a luxury item, not because it's luxury in the sense that it costs like thousands of pounds to buy the shoes every pair of shoes cost, what did she say, like $150, which is a decent amount. If you want like high quality shoes, $150 is fine. But it is a luxury in the sense that if there's a recession, this is not the kind of stuff that you're going to be buying. Like this is like an extra thing that you get with your disposable income that makes your life marginally easier. It's not the kind of company that would survive a harsh recession, because people would stop buying this kind of stuff. So unless you're a very, very wealthy person that doesn't really feel recessions when they happen because they have enough, income and wealth to not make a recession a big deal, normal people wouldn't buy this kind of stuff if something happened to the economy. So I understand that the sharks aren't jumping like head first into that. She's not even sure that it's going to be enough for her. $500,000 is going to cover, with a £90,000 monthly burn, it's going to cover just over 5 months of operations. So she's like, okay, so I'd be extending your lifeline by 5 months, but what's going to happen after then?
Well.
Well. How the
Rose, lead back
turntables.
to Mr. Wonderful. Your problem is sales. That's the only thing that's going to save you. But the more you sell, the more capital you tie up in inventory. That's the curse of the shoe industry.
Any product-based business will incur this problem. So in order to sell, you need to buy inventory so that you can sell that inventory, so that you can buy more inventory, so that et cetera, et cetera. And so a few bad months can make or break your business. A few bad months of sales can make or break your business, just because so much of your assets are locked into stock. And if you don't sell that stock, you're going to be in a pickle.
But I'm going to put myself in a preference position. My offer is very simple. It's $5 a unit till I recoup $1 million, and I want the 5% equity.
Are you open to a larger investment?
No.
The pros of this offer is that she would have a shark on board, which means that she would definitely level up her brand, and he would definitely be able to put her in touch with a number of like contacts and like business networks that can really help her expand and like increase her sales. And obviously he would like also be able to mentor her and bring on board all of his knowledge and business acumen. The negative thing here is that she would get even less out of her sales. So of every pair of shoes that she would sell, she would need to give $5 away to him until he makes, I think originally he said until he makes $1 million back. So until he doubles his investment. And so I don't know, if I were her, if I only had 3 months of cash in the bank, I would need to believe a hell of a lot in myself in order not to take this deal, because I would be terrified. Like, I'm a finance director, I'm an accountant. I am very careful about risk. And I wouldn't want to, as a business owner of a company this size, you're responsible for so many families' income. Like, I bet she has like employees and people in her business that count on her. I would never want to put that on the line. And so if I only had 3 months worth of cash, I would be very tempted to take it. I mean, she was great. I think this is an incredibly tough position to be in. These people with a lot of money hold a lot of power, and she is in a really tough spot with her cash. And so it would have been really tempting, as I was saying before, I would have been really tempted to take the offer. But clearly there's something in her that makes her think that she can do without. She's, as she said before, she's already been in a situation where she was very short in cash and she managed to resolve it. And so she's taken an incredibly high risk. Like, I cannot even say how high the risk is here, because her company might not exist in 3 months' time. If she had a couple of bad sales months, her company would go bust. But she didn't back down. I definitely respect her for it. I hope that it was the right choice for her. One takeaway that I want you to have from today's episode is that cash is king. There's a saying that says, income is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. There's nowhere that you can go if you are not good with cash flow management. If you're not good in managing your cash flow, if you don't have enough months of running costs in your bank account, like liquid at any given time, you're always going to be at risk of going bust. And that makes you vulnerable to a number of things. the cash flow management, which is different from profitability. You might have an incredibly profitable company, but if you don't use those profits well enough, or if you're like highly in debt, if you just pay yourself that profits without keeping enough in the company's reserves to carry forward into future years, you're always going to be vulnerable to recessions, bad sales months, and anything that the market or the economy might throw your way. So cash flow management, make sure that you are on top of it, and make sure that you have a running 12 months cash flow projection into the future, so that you will know when the crunch points are, and so that you were not going to be vulnerable to your company going out of business. If you enjoyed this episode, watch one of my other commentary reactions over here, and I'll see you at the next one.